Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. For the first time since the 2020 Galwan clashes, the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, he is in China to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organisation Defence Ministers meeting. The first high-level visit by an Indian minister to China since India and China began resetting ties last year. The Defence Minister, he is expected to hold bilateral discussions with his Chinese and Russian counterparts with a focus on regional and global security issues, including the ongoing situation in West Asia. This visit comes at a crucial time amid New Delhi's renewed diplomatic push against Pakistan-backed cross-border terrorism. New Delhi often uses the SCO as a forum to raise concerns over cross-border terrorism. NSA Ajit Doval, he is also part of the delegation and has been attending SCO meetings over the past week. My colleague Shivarul gets us the details.
Well, this is Rajnath Singh, the Indian Defence Minister's first visit to China since the standoff, the military standoff in eastern Ladakh began in May 2020. It's been 5 years. India is, of course, a member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organisation, which includes India, China, Russia, Pakistan and several Central Asian republics, as well as Iran. So three big things to look out for. One is, of course, Rajnath Singh interacting with his Chinese counterpart at a time when relations between India and China have substantially improved, but they're still very, very sensitive in light of what has happened with Operation Sindoor. And there are many other friction points between India and China, even if you leave aside the standoff that continues to be there in eastern Ladakh. But the engagement at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization level is going to be an important one. Other than that, the Iranian defense minister is going to be there. Rajnath Singh, of course, will be face-to-face and meeting him as well. We already know that India and Iran, the chiefs of both the countries, the president of Iran dialed Prime Minister Modi following the bombing of those nuclear facilities. So this will be a forum for an interaction on that front, considering that India has the unique diplomatic position of having good diplomatic relations with Iran, the United States, as well as Israel. So that engagement will be important to look out for. And finally, Khwaja Asif, the defense minister of Pakistan, who has been increasingly isolated recently, is also going to be there. There's not going to be any meeting, but it's going to be interesting to see if there are any interactions of any kind between Rajnath Singh and the Pakistan side. This will, of course, be barely 50 days after Operation Sindoor, where the two countries nearly went to a full-blown war, and therefore it's going to be interesting to see Rajnath Singh in the same room with his Pakistani counterpart. Now, remember, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was in China a couple of days ago, where he met with the foreign minister of that country, Wang Yi. There was a very explicit condemnation of state-sponsored terrorism, directly talking about Pakistan. Eyebrows have been raised with China not really responding to that statement, not making any noise about it. China usually takes it very seriously when Pakistan is singled out, considering it's a vassal state of the Chinese government. And therefore, Pakistan's sense of isolation, despite what's been happening with Donald Trump, is something that will be an interesting point to look out for at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization level. So Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is in Qingdao, and we will be tracking all eventualities very closely.
The 50th anniversary of Indira Gandhi's emergency has reignited a fierce political debate in India. Prime Minister Modi and the BJP, they are strongly criticizing the Congress party, labeling the emergency as India's darkest days and a blot on democracy. In response, the Congress has accused Prime Minister Modi of overseeing an undeclared democracy. This is an undeclared emergency, I beg your pardon. This exchange highlights that the emergency remains a deeply emotive political issue due to its historical context of family, politics and power tussle.
25 तारीख को आपातकाल लगाया गया। कारण तो कहा कि राष्ट्र की सुरक्षा खतरे में है, परंतु पूरी दुनिया अब जानती है राष्ट्र की सुरक्षा को कुछ नहीं हुआ था, उनकी कुर्सी खतरे में थी। बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर और संविधान निर्माता ने जो 2,67,000 शब्द बोलकर चर्चा कर संविधान का निर्माण किया था, वो सारी चर्चाओं का अंत इंदिरा जी ने, राष्ट्रपति जी ने आज आपातकाल की घोषणा की है। एक वाक्य बोलकर सारे संविधान के स्पिरिट को खत्म करने का काम किया।
जो लोग अपने गवर्नेंस में नाकामयाब रहे, कुछ नहीं कर सके और उनकी विफलता इतनी है कि लोग आज इन्फ्लेशन के लिए पूछ रहे हैं, उसका सवाल का उनके पास जवाब नहीं है, बेरोजगारी का नहीं है, भ्रष्टाचार का नहीं है, आर्थिक बदहाली जो हो गई, नोटबंदी जो हो गई, झूठ जो बातें इन्होंने बार बार करते आए हैं, तो उस झूठ को छुपाने के लिए वे आज ये नाटक रचे हैं।
A major drug scandal is unfolding in Tamil Nadu, exposing a network reportedly involving politicians and film stars. Following the arrest of actor Srikanth, another actor, Krishna, he has been detained in connection with this particular drug case. Authorities are now intensifying their hunt for other more prominent individuals involved in running this alleged celebrity politician drug ring. In a shocking case of betrayal, a newly-wed woman is accused of orchestrating her husband's murder with her lover just weeks after their wedding. Our reporter Uma Sudhir brings us the full story of this deadly conspiracy. Take a look.
Dancing with joy, in love with life and his wife, 25-year-old Tejeshwar would have least expected that the girl he fell in love with and got married less than a month ago had an evil criminal plan to get him killed and elope with her lover.
మా తమ్ముడు వెళ్ళిపోయిన రోజు నుంచి అమ్మాయిని అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తూనే ఉన్నాను. ఆ అమ్మాయి కంట్లో కన్నీటి చుక్క కూడా బయటికి రాలేదు. అండ్ ఆ అమ్మాయి ముఖంలో సాడ్నెస్ అనేది లేదు. దీన్ని బట్టి నేను కన్ఫర్మ్ చేసుకున్నా ఈ మా తమ్ముడిని ఆ అమ్మాయి ఏదో చేసింటది. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే ఆ అమ్మాయికి ఇల్లీగల్ అఫైర్స్ ఉన్నాయి.
23-year-old Aishwarya had convinced him that she went missing after their marriage was fixed for February 13 only because her mother was struggling to pay dowry. Against his family's advice, after rumors that she was having an affair with an already married bank manager, Tejeshwar married Aishwarya on May 18. June 17, Tejeshwar was reported missing. 4 days later, his putrefied body was found in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh.
రాణ్యం ఎస్ఐ గారు మాకు కాల్ చేశాడు. సరే ఇట్లా ఒక అన్నోన్ డెడ్ బాడీ ఉంది, బాడీని తీసి ఇక్కడ గాలేరు నగర్ కాలువలో దాన్ని చెట్లలో పడేశారు, మీరు వచ్చి చూడండి, మీరు మిస్సింగ్ కేసు ఒకటి అయింది, ఇన్వెస్టిగేషన్ చేస్తుందని తెలుస్తుందని చెప్పి మనం వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళందరినీ తీసుకెళ్ళి చూడటం జరిగింది. ఆ బాడీ మీద ఉన్న టాటూ, అమ్మ అనే టాటూ ఆధారంగా ప్లస్ బాడీ మీద ఉన్న వస్తువుల ఆధారంగా
Police say Aishwarya and her lover had hired assassins to eliminate Tejeshwar. Tirmal Rao had borrowed 20 lakh rupees and even booked tickets to Ladakh to elope with Aishwarya after eliminating her husband. With inputs from Gadwal and Kurnool, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
It's been 11 days and the F-35 is still stuck in Kerala. But we have got the first word from the UK High Commission. The UK government has confirmed that there are engineering issues. The stranded F-35 will shift to a hangar soon. NDTV, like I mentioned, has obtained the first official word.
Well, a big news break by NDTV's Deepak Bopanna, who's gotten that first official word from the British High Commission, which has confirmed that the F-35 stealth fighter of the Royal Navy that made an emergency landing, 12 days ago, nearly 2 weeks ago, in Thiruvananthapuram, has endured and experienced serious engineering issues. That's the official word from the UK government through its High Commission. They've also confirmed to us and to Deepak that it's going to take a while. They haven't succeeded in repairing it. And therefore, a large engineering team is likely inbound, which we reported last week, as you remember, to actually fix this very expensive, very sensitive fifth generation stealth fighter. It looks like it's going to take a while. The UK High Commission has also confirmed to Deepak Bopanna, our colleague in Bengaluru, that the aircraft is likely to be moved to the safety of a hangar for a closer inspection. The British government has also thanked the Indian Air Force, the Indian government, for all coordination, all logistics, all help that has been extended, that we should, of course, affirm. Since day one, there has never been any friction of any kind. There were some sensitivities initially about moving it to a hangar, but it should be said that for 11 days, the aircraft has stood out there in bay number 4 of the Thiruvananthapuram airport, which is most unusual. So whether a hydraulic failure, an engineering issue, some kind of engine fault that may have been experienced in this F-35, which is a vertically taking off jump jet, remains to be seen. But an experienced engineering force, likely from Singapore, we're hearing, will be arriving in order to try and get this aircraft airborne once again. And if that doesn't work out, like we reported earlier, it's possible that the aircraft will have to be carried back in a giant transport aircraft.
Well, the CBSE has cleared its new rules for Class 10th examination. The CBSE has approved Class 10 board exams can be taken twice a year from 2026. This is what the CBSE exam controller, Sanyam Bharadwaj, has confirmed. The first phase will be mandatory. The second phase is optional. The best score is going to be retained. Here's a report.
Come 2026, and Class 10 students will have 2 boards. The first board exam will be mandatory for all, while the second one will be optional.
Today CBSE has released the policy for the 2 board examination in Class 10, which will be implemented from 2026. In this policy, CBSE would be conducting 2 board examinations for Class 10 students, and if a student wishes to improve their performance, they would be allowed to appear in second board examination.
Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has also lauded this decision as an effort to reduce exam stress, provide more flexibility and foster joyful learning environment.
While the intent of the reform is commendable, its successful implementation will require careful planning, robust infrastructure and clear guidelines from the policymakers. It is important to ensure that the policy does not increase the burden on students or the educators and maybe for schools also, because evaluation will have to be done twice in a year, and sparing teachers for any kind of a school may be a challenge, particularly twice in a year.
But what about the logistics? Students and their parents may find this decision as a twin trouble rather than a second chance.
अगर किसी बच्चे को लगता है उसने अपने पहले अटेम्प्ट में सही नहीं दिया है तो वो दूसरा अटेम्प्ट ले सकता है, लेकिन जैसे कुछ बच्चे हैं जो पूरा डेडिकेशन लगा के अपने पहले अटेम्प्ट की तैयारी ही कर रहे हैं, उनके लिए शायद थोड़ा बेनिफिशियल नहीं हो सकता.
The next academic year will tell how well does the board execute the exam process. In New Delhi, Tanushka Datta for NDTV.
Welcome back. Prada has left the internet in a state of shock with the launch of their new line of flats called, which they haven't mentioned, Kolhapuri flats, and they are reportedly priced at 1.2 lakh rupees. The whopping price for a pair of chappals has raised quite a few eyebrows on the internet. Here's a report. popular Indian footwear, the humble Kolhapuri, is now a high fashion item. From the dusty lanes of Kolhapur to the glitzy Milan runways. But there is a twist. The brand and the price tag. Luxury fashion house Prada has unveiled a new collection of open-toe slip-on style sandals that are commonly known as Kolhapuri chappals in the local Indian market. But what is making jaws drop is the sky-high retail price of the Kolhapuri flats, which is approximately rupees 1.2 lakh per pair. The chappals are sold for a few hundred rupees in India and are a favorite among all age groups and genders. Adding further to this high fashion heist is the fact that Prada has not given any credit to the Indian craftsmen from Maharashtra's Kolhapur, who have been making these must-have slippers for ages. Angry netizens zoomed in on 4 models wearing footwear that were most definitely Kolhapuri chappals, that came with a luxury price tag of rupees 1.2 lakhs or 1,000 euros. A user posted his own pair of Kolhapuris, expressing outrage over Prada not giving credit to the Indian ethnic wear. Another user called it blatant cultural appropriation by the fashion brand. Will the Italian fashion house take note of the outrage in India, or will it just let it slip? NDTV Bureau Report. On to some international news. NATO leaders, they have agreed to significantly boost their defense spending, fulfilling a key demand from the US President Donald Trump. Despite earlier ambiguity from Trump, the allies, they were relieved when he recommitted to the fundamental principle of collective defense during a brief summit in the Netherlands. However, Trump also threatened to penalize Spain after its Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez indicated the country could not meet its NATO obligations while spending considerably less than the new 5% of GDP target.
In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate.
Meanwhile, during the annual NATO summit in The Hague, US President also suggested that hostilities between Israel and Iran could perhaps soon restart, despite both the nations appearing tired and exhausted from recent conflict. Trump also revealed that United States and Iranian officials, they are slated to hold talks next week aiming to revive stalled dialogue and potentially lead to an agreement. And the NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte, likened US President Donald Trump to what he called daddy, who uses strong language to intervene in conflicts, referencing Trump's comments on the Israel-Iran conflict. Trump had compared the two countries to children fighting in a schoolyard, saying they fight like hell and can't be stopped until they've had their fight. Rutte's remark has sparked interest and debate, highlighting the unusual dynamic between the two leaders and the use of the word daddy. In fact, listen into what Donald Trump said when asked by a reporter whether he sees himself as the daddy of NATO allies.
They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word.
He called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
And my colleague Disha Bakshi joins us to get us more on this. Disha, a couple of very interesting comments made there by the US President. In fact, like always, he has been creating headlines, especially with the use of the word daddy. Take us through everything that transpired there.
So, of course, the key highlight of the summit now is the fact that all the NATO allies have agreed to increase their defense spending to 5%, almost double the existing target, which was 2%. And even most countries were struggling to meet that target. But now that target has been increased to 5%, which will also include a certain amount, which is about 2% on the actual defense spending on weapons and other such materials. But apart from that, the rest of the 3.5% will actually be used for infrastructure, for protecting cyber technology and other such things. But this is crucial given the fact that there's been an increase in conflicts across the globe. We have Russia and Ukraine war, of course, as well as the Israel-Hamas war. And now we also saw that brief, almost 2-week-long conflict between Israel and Iran. So that's what US President Donald Trump really used to justify pushing the NATO alliance to increase their defense spending. But apart from that, this summit was crucial for the American president, given the fact that he just recently reached that ceasefire between Israel and Iran, and it was essentially a victory leap for him. So even during the summit, he repeatedly emphasized on the fact that he was able to end the war. He even said that he's hinted at the fact that he's going to restart negotiations with Iran, but he's not necessarily looking at any sort of nuclear deal anymore, given the fact that as he has been saying all along, that he has completely wiped out Iran's nuclear program. But apart from that, very interesting comments also about Ukraine. He just met Ukrainian President Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit. So even there, he's now pushing, he's saying that I'm going to push Putin to end the war, and even has said that he's hinted at the fact that he might even give Patriot missiles to Ukraine, which is quite a change and a flip in stance, given the fact just months ago we saw US President Trump really pausing funds and pausing aid to Ukraine. So quite a few interesting headline-making comments made by Trump at NATO.
All right, Disha Bakshi, thank you very much for getting us the latest. In fact, Disha mentioned there about Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the US President Donald Trump meeting on the sidelines of the NATO summit at The Hague. In fact, listen in to what Donald Trump had to say about that meeting.
You've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars.
So my question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine.
So let me just tell you, they do want to have the anti-missile missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. You know, they're very hard to get.
Well, a countdown that made hearts race, a liftoff that made history. 140 crore Indians, they watched with pride as Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, he soared into the space. The first Indian to reach the International Space Station from Florida to Lucknow. Tears, chants and celebration. A moment 4 decades in the making.
Nominal orbital insertion, SpaceX, and we had an incredible ride uphill, and now we set our course for the International Space Station aboard the newest member, and the unmerited favor we carry with humility. Grace reminds us that spaceflight is not just a feat of engineering, but an act of goodwill. The benefit of every human, everywhere.